On this episode of Empowered Returns, Mike and I talk all about the power of partnership in bringing a condo project to market. We talk about the questions that you should be asking, the red flags that you should look for, and how you can really tell that a partnership is going to start off on the right foot. Let's dig in. All right, Mike, another episode of Empowered Returns as a dynamic duo.
Is that our secret spy name right now? This dynamic duo. We got to come up with a better something to say here. What are we going to be called? We both have black shirts, so there's going to be something like ninja style or something.
Dress code. There's so many good opportunities for like our own little duo name. I'll have to think about that. But
Nice.
so excited. I know we're doing a condo series right now, which I think is so needed, especially with the way the market's moving right now and some exciting projects that we've been able to touch. So this episode is about the problems that can arise when you're trying to vet a partner. And I want to just get right into it. You know, you've been in real estate for 20 plus years. And you've seen a lot of developers go down the wrong path with agency decisions when you are putting up a condo project. So why is it most agencies seem to put their own interests ahead of the client's projects? It seems like a thing, and I know we have thoughts on it. So take it away.
We do indeed have thoughts on that, but I have to set the record straight and let everyone know I did start in the business when I was 12. So just to be clear. No, I'm joking, Tori. I see your face. I'm joking. So anyway, yes, but I do have a lot of experience. We have sold out a lot of condo projects and we have a deep sort of well of experience over here on that side of the coin. I think one of the big challenges is most brokerages, real estate brokerages, most agencies are typically just selling single family homes. They have a collection of agents who are all sort of competing with one another, running around and selling homes. Whereas, and developers fall into the trap of someone might, help them find a project or something, and then they just fall into the trap of I'll have to stick with that person or hire one of my friends who's a real estate agent to list this property with me. And the fundamental flaw here is selling a single family home or single condo is dramatically different from selling out a condominium or homeowners association project successfully. And so what you often have is a huge gap in marketing and sales process that a single family or typical residential real estate agent really just doesn't have the experience or expertise in doing. And so again, there's just a big disconnect in the types of abilities and experience that you need to really sell through a 50, 60, even a 20 unit project. But if it's bigger than 50, 60, 100, 150 units, there's just really no feasible way without really a full strategic marketing arm of the business and a really well dialed in sales process that you're going to maximize the sellout velocity and that you're going to maximize sale prices without kind of the weapons in the toolbox that we typically would bring.
Absolutely. That just hearing you say that brings back memories to a project AC I was on, and the biggest issue we had was the owner had outsourced individual agents to sell out the building, and the biggest problem we ran into as the marketing side was the length of the race was different. They were used to selling things, closing in 30 days, moving on to the next like luxury condo project. And when you're selling out like an entire building, it's a much longer, grueling process, and the stamina is a lot different. But that was just the only time that I encountered it, and maybe it was a one-off, but
Yeah, totally. Look, I mean, no, absolutely right. I mean, it's a whole different sales cycle. It's a whole different process. You're talking about everything from, on a previous episode, we've talked about the idea of positioning and differentiating and branding a project. We talked about the experience you're delivering to buyers. That thing, to your point exactly there, that has to continue for an extended period of time, a year, 2 years, 3 years, depending on the size of the project. And without the tools in the toolbox and the experience and the know-how to do that, that's where these projects fall flat. You often, you'll see if the project's, done right in a nice neighborhood and the prices aren't too high, you'll typically sell a few units off the bat. And then oftentimes there's this huge stall in the middle and slowdown, which is literally crushing returns for so many developers out there that it doesn't need to happen. And so, by designing an effective, well, a couple of things. You want to start with building a brand that matters, and as we talked about on a previous episode, that people can probably tune into more of it. But really, it's about positioning and strategy and how the brand relates to that. Brand is much more than just a logo. Just to give the quick soundbite there. And so given that, though, you want to be able to create a brand that matters, create a marketing strategy that matters, right? And then you want to be able to build a demand engine. You have to actually create a demand engine that's driving leads, driving prospects who are the ideal right fit for that project into the sales team to have appointments with, and to meet them where you want to meet the people who are most likely to buy, and at volume, at scale. And then you need to have a sales process and a sales team that is how to unlock the ability to give people, confidence and faith that they're buying something that's really going to be a successful project, that's going to be a quality place to live. And that, especially in a pre-construction sense, that is critically important. That's totally different from, a finished product for people to see, touch, and feel. And so it's wildly different of a process from new developments compared to sort of existing single family or condo projects. And all those things are very, very important to be able to deliver that end-to-end cycle of marketing and sales throughout a condo development cycle.
Absolutely. It is a tough sell, but that's all the more reason that you should be vetting your partners well in advance. So that brings us to the next question is how do you suggest developers find the right partner when it comes to agency, sales, and that truly understands and isn't trying to just pad their own reputation and, promise you the moon and the stars. And when the going gets tough, the tough start finger pointing at each other. What kind of questions should they be asking when they're bidding for partnerships?
Yeah, I think it starts with sort of a couple of key things. You need to understand that they actually have a marketing knowledge, process, experience. Like this is like we consider ourselves a marketing agency that happens to sell real estate, right? And I think if in a condo development space, if you're not thinking that way, if you don't find a partner who has those skills and that experience, it's going to be a very, very long slog, right? And so you have to understand, do they have a marketing strategy? What is their marketing playbook look like? How do they work with, whether they work with outside agencies or they have do they have internal resources? How does that work? Do they have an aligned sales and marketing process so that it's not just some outside agency that sends them some leads over the gate and hopes sales follows up with it? Or it's not just make sure it's way far, beyond saying, oh, I'm gonna put it in MLS and then hold some broker open houses and pray that there's gonna be success there. Whereas it can't be. You have to be questioning and deep. Like, what is your strategy? And also like obviously track record and successes in other projects are critical to ask about as well. And if someone just goes in and shows you, well, I sold $100 million in the last 5 years or whatever, it's like, okay, but what were they development projects or was it just a collection of individual units that you sold for homeowners who are which is basically put in the MLS and hope people show up at your open house for the most part. And so you have to really dive in and understand things. So asking like, what is the marketing strategy? What is your what is your philosophy on it? Do you have a playbook? Do you have a standard process you're running for marketing? How would you budget for marketing? Do you have a framework for a condo development project budget on a marketing budget? And then similarly on the sales side, like how does marketing integrate with sales? How do you guys work together to make sure there's alignment in the messaging that's going out when you're meeting people one-on-one? And how does it work with the messaging that's going out one-to-many in a marketing sense? And then what's your sales process, right? What happens when you meet a prospective buyer? How do you go through the process? Do you have a sales deck that you're walking them through? How do you how would you run the tour from in through the model unit? What are we doing before there's a model unit? All these questions that like we can just dive into specifics about, and you have to sort of get a sense of what the capabilities are in a deeper sense. So there's many questions asked, but it really comes down to like understanding: is there a deep experience and talent in process in both the marketing side of the fence and the sales side of the fence?
Absolutely. And there's just so many red flags, it sounds like, that can arise where you can sort of start to see like this isn't going to work out or maybe they're not the right partner. So really grateful that you can dive into the nuances there because I'm sure a lot of listeners appreciate it. So Can you share, in your experience, a case where you've seen an agency, whether it's us or someone else, that just like really is taking initiative early on in that partnership process to take a condo project to market? Like, what does that look like? How can you tell when you're bidding for a partner that it's gonna work out? And like, what are those success signals?
Well, I I don't know when you're sort of talking to prospective sales marketing partners, but I think the question I just answered probably digs in a lot of that. But I would say, look, I think one of the things you also want to understand is like there's a difference in the plan between when you're developing a strategy, you're developing positioning, you're developing branding, then it goes into a phase where it's sort of pre-sales phase when you're trying to generate demand, nurture leads to get them ready to go into the sales process. And so again, this is a very much a multi-stage process. And so if you're talking to someone and you don't get the feeling that they're understanding the fact that this is a multi-stage, complicated marketing and sales process, that should be a red flag, right? And
Right.
it can't just be like, oh, we'll get a listing agreement and there's not a whole lot of there. That should be a red flag. So I think what you see with successful projects, whether done by us or other good firms, is that you see this really thoughtful phasing of the strategy over time, and not just a rush to market, get it listed, try to get it sold, and sort of hope for the best.
Absolutely. So it sounds like the secret sauce is really alignment, alignment and understanding. So for the developers tuning in today, what is your like pro tip on finding alignment?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the other way to find alignment too is just make sure there's a goals discussion from the start. Like, what are the goals? Like, one of the things that's oftentimes painful, and it's kind of picking teeth sometimes with clients is like, what are your goals? What's your pro forma look like? Let's have a partnership level discussion here. They're like, okay, we want to know what your goals are. We want to be aligned around those goals, and we will develop a plan to help you achieve those goals. And so I think that is where alignment starts from, is with goal setting and aligned goal setting. So everyone's on the same page and you know what you're trying to achieve. And that gives us the best opportunity to develop a plan that will achieve and in many cases overachieve the goals set for the project, whether it's financial returns, whether it's time or both. And we can help curate and build plans that can help achieve any number of goals that a developer might have and in a powerful way. But that's where the alignment comes from, is really setting goals that we can sort of rally around together.
Absolutely. Well, that was so insightful, Mike. Thank you for your time today. I feel like this was just such a needed conversation because I know a lot of people are in the process of taking their condo projects to market and in this very stage of qualifying partners. So, any closing thoughts?
No, I'm excited. We're seeing more projects come out of the ground. I think given the housing supply, especially on the for sale side of the market here in Massachusetts and New England, I think it is really a ripe opportunity for a lot of condo developers, or even some multifamily developers, to pivot and deliver condo product to market, because there's just a dramatic undersupply of good for sale housing opportunities right now. So it's an interesting time to be looking at those projects. And we've talked to a number of developers and are working with some developers who are pivoting from the multi-family side to the condo side, or doing condo conversion. So we're seeing that more as we have very much a supply imbalance on the for sale side. So it's interesting and exciting to see, and exciting to work with some smart, forward thinking developers who are listening and agree that the best way to attack the market is in a strategic way with an aligned partner, like what we try to deliver.
Absolutely. Well, thanks again for your time, Mike, and I will see you on the next episode of Empowered Returns. I'll tell you that much.
All right, looking forward to it, Tori. Good stuff.
Bye.